The stench hit me first, a sickly blend of overpriced cologne and spilled wine. Nothing like the crisp, earthy aroma of Virginia soil after a late summer storm. It wasn't the familiar comfort of hay bales or weather barn what I'd grown to love. No, this was the reek of arrogance, sharp and invasive. My truck's headlights sliced through the midnight gloom, revealing the wreckage of my Vineyard Me life's blood. Deep, jagged tire tracks tore through the rows of fragile Sangiovese vines. My pride and joy, the delicate plants I'd sunk every penny and countless sleepless nights into. A year of sweat, hope, and dreams crushed into the mud by the careless wheels of some luxury SUV. Fury surged, raw and molten, the kind that makes you want to smash something. But then a colder instinct kicked in, forged from 15 years as a Virginia state trooper. Breathe, observe, act. Don't just react. I didn't yell or curse the night. I parked the truck, grabbed my phone, and flicked on the flashlight. My boots sank into the churned-up earth as I moved methodically, capturing every detail: shattered vines, discarded bottles, tire marks crisscrossing like battle scars. Then, caught on the barbed wire fence, a silken banner fluttered in the breeze, its golden script glinting mockingly. Willow Creek Annual Charity Gala. Willow Creek. I knew exactly who was behind this. Evelyn Warwick, the self-proclaimed empress of the neighboring HOA, my personal tormentor since the day she rolled into town. This wasn't an accident or some reckless joyride. This was a calculated strike, a declaration of war. She'd just made a fatal mistake, thinking she was targeting a simple farmer. She didn't know she'd awakened a warrior. The old Ethan Ramsey, the naive kid who left this very farm with dreams of serving his country, might have stormed her gated mansion, shouting accusations, letting rage spill into threats that would have landed him in cuffs. But the man who returned from Fallujah, hardened by lessons learned in blood and dust, played a smarter game. In a crisis, panic is death. And this, staring at the ruins of my future, was a crisis. My vineyard wasn't just dirt and grapes. It was my sanctuary. My great-grandfather bought these 150 acres when land was cheap and a handshake meant something. He passed it to my father, who passed it to me. It was my anchor through 15 years of chaos deserts, gunfire, and watching friends fall for reasons that grew murkier with time. When I came home for good, all I wanted was peace. To feel the sun on my shoulders, dirt under my nails, to grow something instead of destroying it. I bet everything savings, my pension on a dream. A small vineyard of Sangiovese, a temperamental grape most said wouldn't survive Virginia's heat. They called it a fool's gamble, but I chose it because it was fragile, like me. It needed care, and I needed purpose. The viticulture conference in Sonoma I'd just returned from on that fateful night of August 15th, 2024, was meant to be the final step before my first harvest. This land was my redemption, and Evelyn Warwick had just driven a convoy of luxury cars through its heart. I'd known she was trouble from the start. Evelyn was the mastermind behind Willow Creek, a sprawl of cookie-cutter mansions that sprang up like weeds along my eastern border. She was the type to wear spotless linen to a picnic, her smile as cold as her ambition. She didn't want a neighbor. She wanted a vassal. As HOA president, she launched a campaign of subtle aggression, despite my land being free of her jurisdiction. First came the letters on embossed paper, complaining my barn's paint clashed with her community aesthetic, then demands to hide my tractor, followed by a formal protest about my rooster, Colonel Grant, crowing too early. I ignored them, recognizing her tactics, probing, testing, pushing. She wasn't just after compliance, she wanted my land. Rumors swirled of her grand plan for a private golf course, with my farm as the coveted 18th hole, my farmhouse bulldozed for her panoramic view. So, what do you do when a predator in designer heels targets your home? Calling Sheriff Daniel Holt, a friend, would have been futile. He'd file a report, advise a lawyer, but Evelyn's game was legal warfare. Her attorneys would drown me in motions until my vines were dead and my bank account bled dry. No, you don't fight on the enemy's turf. You set your own. The idea was so clear it felt like destiny. I returned to the barn, the air cool with the scent of straw and grease. I fired up my old friends. A 1960s Case tractor, my grandfather's pride, and a weathered International Harvester combine-eyed snagged at auction. They weren't shiny, but they were solid. No shouting, no reckless engine revs, just the steady growl of steel as I drove them under the Virginia moon. I positioned the tractor across my gravel driveway's entrance, the combine behind it, forming an impenetrable barrier. With a can of white paint and a plywood sheet, I crafted a sign in bold, unmistakable letters: private property. Unauthorized parking release fee. $200 cash. All proceeds donated to charity. I nailed it to a post, returned to my porch, brewed a pot of black coffee, and settled into my great-grandfather's rocking chair. The horizon glowed with dawn's first light, a calm as still as a sniper's vigil. I didn't wait long. By 7 a.m., headlights bobbed down my drive. A sleek Audi rolled up, stopping short of my tractor. The driver, a man in his 60s, stepped out in a mint green polo and pristine loafers, his tanned face screaming country club. He gaped at the blockade, then at me. I sipped my coffee, nodding toward the sign. His expression cycled through shock, denial, then fury. "This is absurd," he barked, striding forward. "I'm Gerald Hawthorne, guest of Evelyn Warwick's gala. This is extortion." I rocked silently, letting his outrage crash against my calm. He sputtered about lawsuits, his influential friends, but I just sipped again. Others followed, each a new act in this theater of entitlement. A woman in a glittering gown faked tears, claiming her daughter's inhaler was trapped in her car. I offered to escort her to retrieve it, but the car stayed put. A tech bro in a Porsche tried condescension, calling me Pops, and waving his phone like it could magic the tractor away. When I stood, my 6 feet 3 inches frame looming, he backed off, muttering about lawyers. The chaos peaked at 9 a.m. when Evelyn arrived in a polished Escalade, stepping out in a cream blazer, unruffled, as if she'd planned this drama. Flanked by a shark-eyed lawyer, she was followed by a Channel 12 news van. She launched into a rehearsed speech for the camera, painting herself as a victim of my unhinged aggression. Her guests, emboldened, grew louder, one even kicking my tractor's tire. That was my opening. Ignoring Evelyn, I approached the reporter. "I'm Ethan Ramsey," I said, voice steady. "This is my land. My vineyard was destroyed last night by these uninvited vehicles. And this," I played the video of the tire kicker, "is one of Evelyn's guests damaging my property." The reporter's eyes lit up, the narrative shifting. Then my phone buzzed. An anonymous email, subject, "A friend." It contained a screenshot of the gala's invitation, highlighting, "Overflow parking available on the adjacent rustic property. My land, her orders. Proof of intent." A second email followed, subject, "Evidence." An audio file. My gut clenched. This was no mere clue, it was a guillotine. I pressed play, shielding the sound from the crowd. It was a board meeting, papers rustling, then Evelyn's voice, cold and calculating. "The gala's damage will be our leverage. We'll call his farm a nuisance, bury him in lawsuits, and buy his land cheap for the golf course. He's a stubborn vet, but he'll crack." The recording ended. My blood stayed cool, my focus razor sharp. This wasn't just trespassing, it was a conspiracy. I grabbed my barn Bluetooth speaker, tossed it onto the Escalade's hood, and played the audio for all to hear. Evelyn's voice boomed, exposing her plot. The crowd froze. The reporter gaped. Evelyn's lawyer paled. Her face crumpled, her control shattered. Sheriff Holt's cruiser rolled up moments later. "Ethan, Evelyn, what's going on?" he asked, his voice cutting through the tension. I handed him the speaker. "Listen to this, Daniel." Holt's eyes hardened. "Mrs. Warwick, is that you?" She squeaked about doctored audio, but he wasn't buying it. "Turn around, ma'am," he said, cuffs glinting. The click of steel was deafening, her walk to the cruiser a public execution of her reign. That night, Channel 12 led with the story, framing me as a wronged veteran, Evelyn as a scheming tyrant. A call came from Nathan Kim, my anonymous ally, a young HOA member who'd sent the emails. "We ousted her as president," he said. "The board's panicking lawsuits are coming. not just from you. The next day, the parade of shame began. Gerald Hawthorne paid his $200, avoiding my gaze. The fake tier woman paid silently. The tech bro tossed his cash and peeled out. By dusk, I collected $9, $600 not enough to restore my vines, but a symbol of reclaimed dignity. Nathan visited, sharing more of Evelyn's schemes. His accidental recording at the last HOA meeting had been my salvation. We shook hands, neighbors at last. A week later, I called Channel 12. At my gate, with the Lone Star Veterans Fund by my side, I handed over a $9,600 check declaring, "This money came from disrespect. Let honor those who defend our boundaries." The reporter smiled. The story soared. Evelyn settled my lawsuit generously, funding new vines and a steel gate with a sign, "Trespassers will be mulched." Peace returned, but I'd learned it's a fortress you guard fiercely. As autumn painted the fields gold, Daniel and I shared beers on my porch, the stars bright above. "Quiet's good," he said. I nodded, knowing peace isn't given, it's won. What would you have done in Ethan's shoes? Fought legally, confronted Evelyn directly, or taken his unorthodox stand? Was his blockade justice or vengeance? Should he have kept the money for his vineyard instead of donating it? Share your thoughts, like, and subscribe for more stories that spark debate.